Okay, welcome to another math video, and in this particular video we are going to talk about solving by factoring. Let's start with this problem. 8 m squared is equal to negative 48. I think what I'll do is make sure that you have the steps down in your notes or the steps that we need to take in order to solve by factoring. Step one. Step one is to set all terms on one side of the equation equal to 0. Okay, that's the first step that we're always going to take. So in order to achieve that in this particular problem, you are going to have to add 48 to both sides. Doing that will give you the 0 that you want on one side, and on the other we have 8m squared plus 48. That's step one. Step two, will be to factor. Let's go ahead and do that. I see that in both of these terms I can factor out forgot something here. Sorry about that. This problem was supposed to be like that. There we go. Okay, so that now, what is it that you see that you can factor out of both terms? I can factor out an 8 and an m. That's my greatest common factor. So if I do that, 8m times m will give me back 8m squared, and 8m times what? What do you think? 6. That will give me back 48m. And yes, this is all still equal to 0. Now, at this point, I'm going to say step 3, set each term to 0 and solve. That's just using what's known as the zero products property. This is what it looks like. Okay, so I've got this times this. This times this is equal to 0. So I'm going to take the 8m, set that equal to 0. And I'm also going to take the m plus 6, set that equal to 0, and I'm going to solve both of them. Okay, so m is equal to 0, and over here, m is equal to negative 6. Both answers are correct, and these are the answers, or these are the numbers that you were looking for. Okay, let's do another one. Let us solve x squared minus 12x is equal to negative 35. They want us to solve this. Step 1, we need to make sure that all terms are on one side of the equation and set equal to 0. So let's go ahead and bring this piece over with these other two. We'll simply add 35 to both sides. Doing so gives me the 0 that I want on one side of the equation, and I've got x squared minus 12x plus 35 on the other. Step 2 says that I now need to factor this side. So you see that we've got 3 terms there. I'm hoping that product sum comes to your mind as the technique that we'll use. Product sum. And under product, what number do you think I'm going to write? We'll take the 1 coefficient times the 35, and when we multiply those two together, that'll put 35 under product, and under sum, we'll take the middle coefficient, which is negative 12. So what 2 numbers multiply together to give you 35, and the same 2 numbers also add to give you negative 12? You probably have those numbers already. Let's see, if I list factors of 35, 2's not going to work, 3's not going to work, 4, 5 times 7. I think if I get the signs right on those 2 numbers, I'll be in good shape. Let's make them both negative. Negative 5 times negative 7 gives me a positive 35, and these 2 also add up to give you negative 12. So those are the numbers that I was looking for. Let's go put that in here. So I've got x minus 5, and I also have x minus 7. This is all still equal to 0. So step 3, we'll set each term equal to 0. So let's do the first one. X minus 5 equals 0, and x minus 7 equals 0. And if we solve, looks like x is equal to 5. And x is also equal to 7. All right, I hope that's what you have as well. I think we've got time for one more. Okay, let's take a look. Let's do 2x squared plus 3x minus 14 is equal to 0. Go ahead and pause the video, see how far you can get in solving that. I'll catch up to you. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Fortunately for us, all terms are already on one side equal to 0, so we've already achieved step 1. Step 2, let's factor this side. I see 3 terms. That lets us know we're going to use product sum. So off to the side here, I'll get a P for product, an S for sum. You know, I hope, that under product, we will take the coefficient here times my last term. That's going to give me a negative 28. And under sum, I'll put this coefficient, which is just a positive 3. And now we're looking for 2 numbers that will multiply to give us negative 28. Same 2 numbers have to add to give us 3. So what are we dealing with here? 1 times 28 will give me that. There's no way that's going to happen though. 2 and 14. 3 is not going to work. 4 times 7. It holds some promise if I get the signs right. So what do you think? Negative 4 times 7 will give me negative 28. Negative 4 plus 7 will give me 3. So we're going to use negative 4 and 7. But wait! This is not a 1. So I cannot go directly to my answer. Instead, because this is other than 1, I'm going to use these two to simply break up this middle term. Everything else is going to stay the same. So this is going to stay 2x squared, but instead of plus 3x, I'm going to put minus 4x and plus 7x. See, that's still 3x. And the minus 14 stays the same, and we're still equal to 0. Now that I have 4 terms, we can use grouping. So let's take these one group at a time. For this group, I can factor out a 2x. 2x times another x will give me back 2x squared. 2x times what? Negative 2. Okay, I've got a plus here, so bring that down. A plus. We can factor out a 7 from both of those. And 7 times an x gives me back 7x. And 7 times a negative 2 gives me back my negative 14. And good for us. What's in the parentheses are a perfect match. That always has to happen. So let's see, we're still equal to 0 here. So as far as all of this factoring, we've got it down to x minus 2. And then the 2 items in front of the parentheses, we'll put those here. And this is all still equal to 0. We're not done yet, but we're almost there. Step 3, we have to set everything equal to 0, and then we'll solve it. So let's take this term, we'll set that equal to 0, and we'll take this factor, set that equal to 0. X minus 2 is equal to 0, and 2x plus 7 is equal to 0. Now that we've set each factor equal to 0, let's just solve it. We'll add 2. And over here, I'll subtract 7. We're getting a little close on the space here. 2x is equal to negative 7. If we divide by 2, sorry about that space, it looks like x is equal to negative 7/2. So we've got 2 answers. X is equal to 2, and x is equal to a negative 7/2. I hope that was helpful in showing you how to solve by factoring. Keep practicing.